After Donald Trump won the presidency, I've been getting a lot of questions about whether or not I could file people's green card and citizenship applications before inauguration date. And a common question I get is, will it make a difference? If I could file it beforehand, will I be grandfathered in before he changes all the policies around? What difference will it really make? And can you please file my case before January 20th? And oftentimes my answer is, we might not be able to file it before January 20th, but we'll do the best we can, and hopefully we can file it by then. And then I go on to explain that it might not make as much of a difference as they think. First of all, a lot of the policies that he wants to implement have to go through the ordinary comment and rulemaking procedure, which takes a few months for certain of the policies to be implemented. For example, if he wanted to change the filing fees, those have to go through a several-month procedure. If he wanted to change any of the regulations, that would take a few months. But there are some things that he could just snap his finger and change via executive order. In terms of green card applications and naturalization applications, so permanent residence and naturalization, there's a few things I want to say. First of all, I would advise you to file it as soon as possible, preferably before he's inaugurated, but it doesn't really make a difference. It's not like there's just going to be a clear cutoff. Any application that's pending after he implements the new rules is probably going to be subject to those new rules. For example, let's say we filed a green card application on January 2nd, 2025, and then in March, that application is still pending and a new rule takes effect. And let's say that new rule is that we have to submit a whole new form for green card applicants that shows that they are not likely to become a public charge. Trump did this last time he was president. He created this whole new form. It was called I-944, Declaration of Self-Sufficiency. And it was like a 20-page form. You had to include every language you spoke, all of your skills, your education, basically what assets you had, and they wanted to see how likely is it that you're going to become a public charge before they grant your permanent residence. And he implemented that form. It was shut down by a court because it violated one of the rules and he didn't implement it properly. But there's a decent chance, if history repeats itself, that he's going to try to implement a similar form this time around. So let's say we filed a green card for my client on January 2nd, and in March or April, this new rule takes effect while the green card application is still pending. And a green card application that's filed in January will probably still be pending by April. There's a decent chance that that applicant will receive a request for evidence in the mail asking for that new form, even though that form was not required on the day that they filed the green card application. And the same thing goes for naturalization. If a new rule takes effect while your naturalization application is pending, there's a very high probability that you will have to comply with that new requirement. It might even cause some delays in your naturalization process. One note I want to make about naturalization specifically. Right now, we are seeing pretty fast processing times from the day you submit your N-400 naturalization application to when you are actually sworn in as a US citizen. The average processing times we're seeing around most parts of the country are 5 to 6 months from start to finish, which is pretty good historically. Last time Trump was president, he changed a bunch of the policies around how naturalization applications were pending. For example, families that applied to naturalize together were divided up into separate applications, so families were not processed together. This caused much more delay in the naturalization process. He also did more intense vetting, so applicants who applied were subject to longer processing delays while they did background checks, and this caused a massive series of delays. In fact, in some cities around the United States, by the end of these policies taking effect, some naturalization applications were taking 12 to 24 months compared to the current 5 to 6 months. So the one thing I would advise, if you're eligible for naturalization and you want to apply, I would apply as soon as possible. Because if you can get your naturalization application in sooner rather than later, there's a good chance you'll beat some of these backlogs that I anticipate will kick in. And for all the people who are going to comment, you're just making assumptions. True, I am making assumptions about what's going to happen, but the assumptions are based on what happened last time, and Trump has straight up said that he wants to implement some of the same stuff this time around. And my assumption is that the courts aren't going to be able to do as good of a job to prevent him this time around because he's had experience, he's implementing more effective people this time around. So the best advice I can give someone who qualifies today for naturalization is to apply as soon as possible. Another thing is that the last time Trump was president, he tried to nearly double the naturalization fee. Currently, it costs anywhere from $710 to $760 to apply for naturalization, based on whether you file it electronically or you submit the paper version of the form. There are different fees. There's a good chance if you can't afford the naturalization fee today, but you want to apply, that fee is going to dramatically increase in the future. So if you can find a way to afford to apply sooner, it's probably in your best interest. All right, guys, so the summary here is apply for your immigration benefits as soon as possible if you're eligible for the benefits. Don't just wait. If it makes no difference whether you apply tomorrow or a year from now, I would rather see you apply tomorrow, because there's a good chance that you might beat the implementation of some of these new policies, and there's a very high chance that you'll get ahead of some of the backlogs that I anticipate forming. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments below. I try my best to answer some of them. If you guys are new to my channel, I'm going to be putting out at least 5 immigration-related videos on family-based immigration and naturalization per week over the course of the next year, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another one.